I don't worry so much about like, oh, you should be doing this or that thing because then later on they're going to do that to you. It's like, well, worry about that when you get there, actually. Because until you get there, it doesn't matter. And by the time and when you do get to that point, you will have so much of a better understanding of the entire game that you'll have better ways of figuring it out. I think a lot of problems people have when they try to learn these games is they try to front load too much. And they don't just try to front load too much. They are told by their betters, those of us who know what we're doing, more so anyway, they're told you have to do this, and this. And whenever I see a new player being inundated by just a flurry of horrendous advice that is correct, but it's bad advice because of how it's being delivered or whom it's being delivered to. Teaching is not just about can you deliver the information. It's also, do you know whether your receiver of information is ready to hear it? Are they ready for the next level? Are they ready for the next thing? Do you have a plan in mind as their teacher, as their guru, as their coach, to kind of guide them through the process? And a lot of people don't know how to do that. And then they wonder, why aren't people playing our game? Why aren't people getting good at our game? Why is this region bad and that region's good? And then you look at the ways in which they go about teaching each other, and you find out that certain regions have really, really good teachers. And that's a big part of why they're so strong as their region, because good teachers make everyone stronger. And when everyone's stronger, you get better opponents. And it just keeps getting stronger and stronger from that. It's a self-perpetuating cycle, which is great. You love that. So a lot of times players try to tell people to do everything at once, and then they end up getting nowhere very quickly or very slowly. They get nowhere and they don't get there very quickly. And it's not until like later on when they stop trying to do everything at the same time that they get better, that you'll get better faster. Learn how to contextualize the advice you're being given, and also learn to ignore people. I mean that. Learn to ignore people who are telling you the right thing, but it's not the right time for you, specifically for you. This requires self-knowledge. Learn combos. No, I need to learn movement. Exactly. Oh my God. Or if someone's saying you need to learn movement, but your combos are clearly ass and they need to work, and or they say you need to learn movement and you need to, the worst ones. Really? It's actually, you need to learn to punish. As a Garu player, it's like bam, 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 bam. Garus have bigger fucking problems to deal with than just punishing better. All right? There are bigger issues happening at that rank than punishing better. I'm at where I am, and only now am I starting to be like, okay, now not punishing is starting to actually cost me in a way that is meaningful. Because the opponent is giving me openings, like that Nina player I just fought. It's giving me openings that I would be able to destroy them more effectively if I was representing the power punishes to them. So now, because there are fewer and fewer other openings in my opponent, because they're just better, now punishment becomes a real issue. Now duck punishment becomes a real issue. Now sidestep punishment becomes a bigger issue. All of that becomes more and more important the better your opponents are. But the worse your opponent is, the less important that shit is. Because there's so much other things to work on. And this is what overwhelms newer players. And if you are that newer player who's like, I'm overwhelmed, I don't know how to do, I have to do everything, and everyone's on Twitter is telling me to do this, and my chat tells me to do that thing, and like, I don't know, I'm just trash, and then you get nowhere. You get absolutely nowhere. And truth be told, there's a good likelihood the players who are telling you to do everything at once, I'm sorry, this is you who's done this, people, if you're still in this place, are not very strong themselves. Because if they were stronger, they wouldn't be telling you this. Stronger players don't say this to you. because they know the battle, they know the hurdle, they know the struggle, and they're able to more accurately assess what is most critical to learn right now. What's the most simple thing that I need to do to beat these kinds of opponents? If nobody has defense, then you don't need to worry about defending against moves that punish one block. Because sure, could you get a couple things with that? Yeah, you probably could. But you know what you can get a lot more openings with? There's going to whiff in front of you. There's going to whiff in front of you. You're not even going to get to block their move. They're literally just going to whiff and run into your fist. So you know what you should work on instead? That. Whiff punishing them. Counter hit checking them. Launching them for running into your fist. Forget about blocking. Why are you blocking someone who's just whiffing in front of you? Bam, make them whiff and then destroy them for it. All right? So it seems simple to say just block more and just punish them with the proper move and you'll get out of cover. And I'm here to tell you that's not the way for you. If you don't already know your block punishment moves, if you don't know all of your opponent's attacks, which you likely don't, I still don't, and I'm like, around the king rank, it's just a matter of you gotta see it. You gotta see it enough times. But you know what you don't need to see a lot of times? Moves getting whipped in front of you. Because you can clearly tell, oh, that move is whipped. I could do my biggest launcher possible and hit them before they can do something else because they whiffed in front of you. You're infinite plus frames when they whiff. Except for like jabs. And even then, you can still whiff punch them if you have a read. There's so many different attack moves in Tekken that that's the part that's overwhelming. I think overwhelms players. So yeah, don't do that. How do you deal with fatigue? I'll play Tekken at Emperor level for about an hour, then my creativity execution significantly drops. Once I feel a little mental fatigue, shall I use main, by the way? CJ from YouTube? Do what I just did. Stop. It's about an hour, about almost 2 hours. I felt fatigue hit around an hour 30, hour 15, hour 20-ish. I felt the fatigue and it was like, we're almost done. Play until you fatigue and then stop. Typically, for me, it's a matter of you have to play super tight. And if you don't play tight, you blow up and explode. Like it's easier and easier the more familiarity you have with the cast. In my experience in other games where you have high pressure, rapid choices with moderate to high risk, the only way to really get used to it, it's like going a marathon, or it's more like doing sets at the gym when you're lifting a heavy ass weight. You have to do sets of 10 or 9 or 11 or maybe 15. But really, once you get to 15, if you're going for strength, you should probably up your weight and not up your reps. But let's say you're a person you're lifting a heavy ass weight and your muscles are saying to you, I can't push another rep. I need you to give me a 3-minute break so you can lift this heavy ass weight again. And you're like, no, I'm going to keep lifting you. I'm going to keep pushing you. I don't care, brain, whether you need to take a mental reset and re-break and consolidate some things and learn some things. You're saying, I'm just going to keep pushing you until you just derank and derank and derank for no good reason. Now you got to re-rank, which you'll get because you're not bad, right? But like you could have just fought stronger opponents with the time that you were spending now, like working your way back up because you kind of just let your brain go to mush. That's the real problem with playing when you're fatigued. Now, is there a place for fatigue playing? Yes. By the time you're worrying about fatigue playing, you're like a really serious competitor at that point, and that's a whole nother issue you're dealing with. And if you're in the Emperor ranks, we're not at that level. You gotta be like on destruction level. Then you're worrying about these fatigue things. But if you're not there yet, just take a break. Take a break. Give yourself 5 minutes, give yourself 10 minutes. Sometimes give yourself the day. That might just mean you are done for the day. It's time for you to put your stick away, watch some TV, do something else. Because your brain's cup, your metaphorical cup is full. When your brain is telling you you're tired, you're mentally exhausted, that means you finished learning for the day. Or you finished learning for this time period and you need to take a little break. It might be an hour break, might be a 3-hour break, might be an entire day. And you come back the next day and you're refreshed. Now, if you're still tired and feeling mentally drained like the day after, then you might have a bigger problem going on there. You might just be getting burnt out on the game, or you're hitting a wall and you're not quite sure how to get around it. And whatever you're doing is ineffective. And I would encourage changing your approach or changing something. It's a sign that if you're finding yourself feeling mentally exhausted day after day, something's going wrong. Something is not operating the way it's supposed to in your learning process. And I would encourage you to reflect on that. I feel like if people are paying attention, they can tell as they rank up what they need to work on. I got into purple, and that's when knowledge checks and wake-up traps become more relevant. So you would say that, you think that, Bella. However, what I'll say is there are many tournament level players who compete for first place. We're trying to get top 15, top 10, break into top 6, top 3s. They don't all know what they need to do to stop losing against the players they're losing against. So like at the lower ranks being anything below God Destruction, yeah, you can pretty, clearly see what you need to work on if you're really attentive, or if you look at your replays and you're honest with yourself. The thing is, at the higher ranks, meaning like the higher levels of tournament level play, the mental things that I've been talking to you all about become way more important, because everyone can kind of whiff punish, everyone can, do their defensive thing, everyone can do everything at that point. So the question is no longer, sometimes it's no longer, can you do the thing? It's more a matter of, is your strategy, is your way to win more effective? Is your idea of how this game ought to be played more effective? It becomes a battle of ideas at that point, not a battle of, can you just do a thing? Which is not as interesting of a question.